All right, buddy, welcome back to Beans No Ball. As we mentioned in the last video, we just came back from the Rams and Cowboys Week 1 preseason game. We're gonna lay our thoughts on here. So, obviously, the Rams came out victorious. It's just a preseason game, so nothing to get too excited about just yet. But hey, some bragging rights come back to me. Finally, it's been a minute since the Rams finally gotta get one away from the Cowboys. So. Definitely feels nice for me. But Christian, I think I'll let you. You probably have more frustrations than me. Definitely overall. So I'll let you get started.
Yeah, I got some frustrations, but like you said right now, it's just preseason. But when we're looking at the second and third team for these players, there's a lot of takeaways. I know for both teams, the quarterback situation with backups, Trey Lance and Stetson Bennett. My God, let's look at the downside of the Rams. Stetson Bennett 4 picks, really 5 picks if it wasn't called back by that. I think it was a holding call from the Cowboys defense that should have sealed the game.
Well,
I know you had your worries about that.
Then you know what? Let me just tell you my piece first thing.
Yeah.
To me, the game-winning drive, honestly, he got a little bit get back there. I'm not gonna lie, he played nice. That game-winning touchdown, he rolled out to the left side, really nice on the outside. It was a beautiful play. I'm not gonna lie. It fooled me from our view. It looked like he was getting the Cowboys crashed in on him.
I thought it was gonna be.
It looked like he was closer, but when you actually see the replay, he just evaded the pressure phenomenally. So great on him. We saw some good stuff from him. That doesn't take away from the 4 interceptions. Like you said, technically 5 from the holding penalties that didn't even have anything to do with it. Just overall, I was telling you the whole game. As much as nice game-winning drive, but I really hope it cuts Stetson. He's gotten so many second chances with this team. I can't see a 4 interception performance like this and see him keep staying on the team. I know Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be gone for the first 2 games of the season, so we might have to pick up a new quarterback, but I just don't feel good with Stetson. Hopefully nothing happens to staff, but if something were to happen, I don't feel good if Stetson is the guy to come in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, because even after those first 2 picks, they're just horrible reads to begin with, and that was already kind of drawn the line. Now, when I'm looking at Trey Lance, I know how last season I had this little thing Trey Lance could be the next QB. After this game, I really don't see that. You had 41 pass attempts and 188. Didn't even break 200 yards of passing. He had his bright moments, but he had a lot of pretty shitty moments, if I'm going to be real. the first quarter, wide open. I'm not too sure who. I don't know if it was Jalen Cropper or Tyron Billy. The first quarter, overshot.
I don't remember the name, but yeah,
he overshot that throw. I know.
McCutcheon, if I'm not
McCutcheon was in coverage.
The corner. And
I'll
something
McCutcheon was on. McCutcheon was on. I know. I'm just joking. He got cooked, but he got beat.
No,
it was just
he got
bad
beat.
Overthrow.
It should have been a touchdown. It 100% should have been a touchdown.
It should have been a touchdown, without a doubt. And he had a lot of some missed opportunities that really could have sealed the deal. Really, we could have had 2 touchdowns in this game, Cowboys alone. Really, that touchdown could have sealed the deal for that part. But Stetson Bennett ended up getting the only touchdown in the game. But looking at some bright spots on this team, this defense as a whole, both defenses for both teams, they're looking really great, especially the O-lines. But really want to get into the defense for the Cowboys. Mozzie Smith, DeMar Overshown, Kalen Carson, they're making a pretty big name for himself. Overshown was kind of I want to say.
He would get cooked. He would make a good play. He would keep going back and forth. But
towards more, he started making bigger plays.
Really filled out into the game.
Yeah, and that's what I've kind of seen the bright spot with Overshown. He has a lot of potential coming to the next season, especially in Zimmer's defense, specifically with Zimmer as well. Now, there's already a lot of the thing with these players. They prefer Zimmer's over Dan Quinn's defense. They're already saying, Zimmer, each player of the position-wise, they're put specifically where they need to be put, other than Quinn's defense, where just let loose, be what you need to do, what you basically want to do. We saw that in the Packers game. There was literally no executing a proper game plan. That's what Zimmer is doing. With the way the defense was playing, I know it's preseason, but the way the defense is playing, I could already expect what Zimmer's already cooking with the first stringers coming into the first week. But this defense was really good for the Cowboys, and that's kind of the biggest bright spot there. Those 4 interceptions, like I said, Cowboys could be the only team to get up 4 interceptions and still lose the game. Still lose the game no matter what.
Yeah, I think what we could see, you talking about your defense. Obviously, the Rams defense in general, we didn't allow a touchdown. I think that was phenomenal, especially having to be put in such bad field position because of Stetson Bennett's interceptions, to have to start on that opposite side of the field and still not allow a touchdown. I think that's a huge part that our defense just really showed out. And just above all else, I think that kind of tells you a lot about the first team. You know, you see the second team is doing that well. You know, those are the guys that are being put on second team. So first team, obviously, you know, they've shown enough that, you know, they're above these guys. And if these guys are definitely showing out, then, you know, it says a lot of good things about both of our teams, specifically on defense and, like we just mentioned, on O-line. No sacks in the first half. I could be mistaken, but I don't think in the whole first 3 quarters overall. I mean, I know we sacked Trey Lance twice in the second half. You guys got to Stetson, I believe, in that last drive, that game-winning drive. Which we'll get into a little more on that last drive. But I mean, overall, the O-line play was really good. Obviously, the D-line eventually grew into the game, and eventually the pressure got there. Quick shout out to Taylor Davis, I believe is his name. One of our late round draft picks. Really got a lot of pressure on that O-line, so I'm really excited seeing what he did. But I just want to really get into you know, probably our standout player of the game, Jordan Whittington. Someone that if anyone, you know, remembers our draft videos, I wasn't too high on that pick. I really didn't like picking Whittington over Brennan Rice. I know it's just preseason, but I mean, he's really kind of shutting me up. He's really giving me something to look forward to. I'm really interested in seeing what he can do moving forward once we get into the regular season. See maybe a little more action in the preseason, but overall, I mean, 6 receptions, 74 yards. That might not seem like a lot, but regardless, I mean, he just played a phenomenal game. And just to throw one more out, I mean, Boston Scott kind of had a little minimal role, but I mean, 15 carries, 68 yards, definitely a pretty decent game for him.
Yeah, and then looking at the Cowboys side of the ball, Malik Davis, he was honestly putting up a show with the run plays he was getting. I kind of lost track on his stats here, but I think he did. I think it was about, I want to know, I forgot if he hit the 50 mark, or I'm not too sure there, but he was making a lot of good plays. He was getting some missed tackles here and there, and he was really putting up a spot for the running back spot. So, you know, him and Dowdle, they could, you know, fight for the spot for whoever's going to be higher above another. But the run game was looking pretty good for the Cowboys. It was really just Trey Lance, the quarterback play, that kind of slowed that offense down. The receivers, there were some drop issues. I know you mentioned it. I didn't really pick it up on it, but when I saw it again, when I was looking through it or anything on Twitter, there's a couple drops. I know the 1 third down play that I forgot exactly who dropped it, but that was another one that could have pretty much sealed the game on 3rd down. And just the drop issues, once again, that's pretty much it from those receivers. But I wanted for Jalen Cropper, he was a pretty standout there guy too. We've had him for quite some bit time, and then Jalen Tolbert as well. He's been getting some decent plays there. But Jalen Cropper, that's one guy that's obviously he's never been known, but Cowboys have had him for about some time now, for like 2 years, I believe. So I'm not too sure specifically how much, but he was the main target for Trey Lance there. But like I said, Trey Lance, something about him, I really don't. Cooper Rush is obviously going to be above him in the QB2 spot. But Trey Lance, of course, the Trey Lance was kind of the reason this offense wasn't really executing when they really needed.
Yeah, I think overall, I mean, something we were saying, you know, the quarterback play was the reason this was a very mediocre game. And honestly, if it wasn't for Lance and Stetson, I mean, this would have been a really good game. I mean, this is one of the big things we're talking about. And I mean, sure, I mean, you say your own thing about Trey Lance. I mean, we know the whole situation with him. You know, his option's probably not going to get picked up once the decision comes. And obviously Stetson, I've already said my piece on him. I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see. I mean, maybe they can grow into the preseason. Maybe it's just some rest. I mean, I would hope. As for Stetson, I mean, I hope we just cut him, if we're being honest. But if the front office sees fit to keep him, which I hope they don't, but that's just something else. And I think we could just start. I mean, we could throw in some other random stuff. I mean, hey, the atmosphere was pretty sick, bro. I mean, this is something that we've wanted to do for such a long time. We've wanted to hit up a Cowboys-Rams game ever since we've met, and hey, we finally got to do it. It was a preseason game, but I mean, that atmosphere was sick. I mean, the Cowboys fan to our right, I mean, he was a little freaky. He was a little something.
He was definitely something. But new Lord, he just casually jumped. He just lore bombed us out of nowhere, which is pretty beast. I'm not gonna lie there, but surprised us Rams and Cowboys fans, and that we all got along pretty well.
Overall, the crowd was sick. I mean, everyone was mingling well. I mean, you know, it's hey, we got some shared hate for the Niners and Eagles. I think that helps us a lot. But I mean, yeah, just overall, it's just really interesting. Just really interesting to see, you know, the atmosphere for a preseason game to be that high up. But well, actually, you know, one last thing about the game that we were talking about, and I said I was gonna get right back to it. The backup secondary that the Rams was looking a little shaky. I know you touched up a bit, and I kind of mentioned it with McCutcheon on that one play in the end zone, the Trey Lance overthrow. this is something that this was one of my biggest concerns with the Rams last year. Obviously, our D line was always just phenomenal. Obviously, we had Aaron Donald, we had those two phenomenal rookies, but that secondary was a big concern. I was hoping maybe, you know, that throughout the offseason training camp we were going to show some improvements, but unfortunately I didn't. You know, I'm not really seeing too much. I mean, we didn't sell too bad. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, I'm still seeing a lot of those cracks, and a lot of that bend don't break. It's something I would like to see this team grow into. I mean, you know, Trey White, I would expect him to be a, you know, a big mentor to some of these guys. Cam Curl, Cam Kinchins, a rookie that I'm really interested in. And I mean, hopefully, you know, as the preseason goes on, we get to see a little bit of growth with that secondary. But by the time the regular season start, I really do expect this to really start going into itself.
Yeah, looking at both teams' secondary play, I know this Rams was a little shaken up. From what I saw from the Cowboys' secondary play, they were pretty much good. Outside of Whittington, it was pretty much cooking that secondary for the most part. But when we're looking at Kalen Carson, the rookie, that's one guy, you know, really looking more into. Hopefully he could be the replacement for Gilmore. Not going to be too heads up over that, but I could see him potentially getting a start this season, especially with how shaky our quarterback room is, with Trey coming back from an injury, Bland, Gilmore's departure, Jay Lou in the nickel. There's a lot of ways we can move on. Deshaun Wright, who got traded to Minnesota for an exchange for I think it was Andrew Booth. Basically, just the corner change, so a little more lower there. But aside from that, it was a pretty boring game. Didn't get to the final drive, where once again the Cowboys, they're gonna cowboy their way and lose the game, and that's exactly what they did with two penalties that they basically gave free to the Rams.
Yeah, exactly. And just, I mean, like you said, the defenses were solid throughout the game. It was until that, you know, obviously there was one, I believe, on a third down that gave us extra life, and of course the biggest one, you know, on that interception, the holding call that really solidified that drive, you know, gave the Rams new life. And sure, you know, then obviously, you know, they allowed Stetson Bennett, of all people, to just drive down the field and get a game-winning drive. I'm sure you have a lot of things running through your mind about that, and I mean, believe me, I would understand.
Yeah, I mean, look, end of the day, it was a good game, atmosphere-wise, being around there, looking at that, but again,
just mid-performance, and which
it's just preseason. We can understand.
We can understand. You know, it's their first game back in 6 months, something like that. You know, I mean, everyone's starting to mesh with each other. So, I mean, you can't be too upset about it. But I mean, there are obviously some things that, you know, you probably wish things would have been ironed out after training camp. But I mean, that's gonna wrap us up. Obviously, we kind of said we would have a vlog. Not really. I mean, we'll throw some clips of the game, some of our own clips. I mean, you know, that you see the thumbnail. Obviously, we have our own. We'll throw our own spin on it. But regardless, thank you guys for watching. Yeah. I mean, my backup quarterback and you, everything else. So definitely there is something to go around. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you like and subscribe. That always helps us out a ton. Hope you stay around for the little bit that's left of the offseason. Obviously, the NFL season coming right around the corner. Hope you guys stay around for all of that, all the content that we're going to have for a huge third year. Thank you guys.